Hi, I'm Alex McCord, and welcome to The Real Deal on thestir.com. No Atlanta this week due to the Super Bowl, but we have 2 episodes of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills to bring us up to speed, as well as some mom shows, yes, I'm branching out, and another Real Housewives divorce. Well, let's begin with The Real Housewives of Hogwarts. Beverly Hills. Right. Last week, Carlton put a curse on Joyce's hair. Her husband. Wait, I'm going to pull a Carlton here. Are you effing kidding me? Now, I don't know the first thing about Wicca, but I do know how to operate a computer. And if you ask Madam Google, she will tell you that Wiccans believe in what they call the Law of 3. Basically, if you do something, it comes back to you threefold. So it's like a triple play golden rule. It stands to reason that Carlton would never harm anyone for fear of being steamrolled by some karmic demon worse than any villain Harry Potter could dream up. The only positive thing I can say about the sit-down between Joyce and Carlton is that whether Joyce actually felt she'd been hexed or producers put her up to it, either way, she addressed the situation and it's over and done with. For now. Now, Yolanda Foster is having issues all over the place this week, mainly with people not showing up to her events. She experiences firsthand what I said in answer to a viewer question. Is it a power play when housewives skip out on each other's filmed events? Yes, it is. Yolanda experiences the worst example of this when Lisa Vanderpump texted her 2 minutes before she was due in Malibu to cancel on the painting party. Yolanda tells Lisa that this event has been on the books for weeks. Now, what she means is the calendars that producers give their cast members. When I was a housewife, I kept an online calendar in the cloud that producers could add and delete events from. And sometimes they would do that without telling me. So you have to check it 5 times a day, because if you miss something, it's your fault and you get cast members mad at you and it becomes storyline. It also becomes an excuse. Oh, they didn't tell me they put it in there or took it out of there. Oy. But let's explore Vanderpump Rules a little more. Lisa gave that as her excuse. She has her hands full shooting 2 shows simultaneously, and the 2 collided again this week with the doubleheader birthday party for Ken and Maurizio. Lisa might be blowing off Housewives events like Yolanda's party in favor of Vanderpump Rules because that show is doing better. And she's a producer, so she's probably making more money off VPR than she is as a housewife. However, when it comes to throwing a housewives party at her home, she's not going to let the food come from SOAR, as she told the party planner in his Speedo in the pool. It's funny how quickly things change. Vanderpump Rules is now a hit in multiple seasons, and you can't take for granted that the cast can show up to film another show without grabbing the attention and creating their own storylines. See, they are reality stars now. They're not waiters anymore, and it shows. I do think they did a good job of just barely weaving the 2 shows together, touching on Sheena's engagement, letting Brandi growl at her, because remember, Sheena slept with Brandi's ex-husband. A little goes a long way, and it effectively advertised the spinoff. Had I been watching it live, I probably would have stayed tuned for the Vanderpump finale, which is what Bravo wants. One last note on Beverly Hills before we move on. The Kyle and Carlton showdown. Oy! Another reality TV staple. Spreading a lie turns it into the truth. This is possibly the dirtiest game on reality TV, and it makes me sick to see it. Anything good that I said about Carlton earlier, forget it. Although I am not particularly a Kyle fan on the show, I think Carlton goaded Kyle into this fight. Before the birthday dinner, all Carlton had was an accusation that Kyle might be talking bad behind my back. Yeah, well, the producers couldn't even back it up. The only flashback footage they could find was of Kyle sniffing about a smelly bathroom. Sorry, that doesn't qualify. When Carlton accused Kyle of back-talking, Kyle fell into a trap. Kyle got so angry over being falsely accused, she turned it into a reality. Kyle gave Carlton all the ammunition she needed right there in 2 ways. Number 1, she said, if you don't want to be judged for being Wiccan, don't act like a witch. Funny, but mean. And number 2, she called Carlton anti-Semitic. Oh my gosh, things you don't do on television. Carlton made a meal out of what Kyle gave her. Carlton started this, but overheated Kyle lost her temper and fell into the trap. Now, let's move on to some mom shows, shall we? I tuned into a bit of Lifetime TV's Dance Moms and saw 2 examples of before and after reality stardom. First, the before. I saw ferocious Abby threatening to replace a dancer with, a new Chloe? As I said, this is the first time I've watched the show, but I was horrified. This is how a grown woman talks to children, treating them like a piece of meat? Second, the after. Just as with Vanderpump Rules, Dance Mom's Abby has by season 4 become a reality star. At her open auditions in Atlanta, she's got people lining up around the block like American Idol. See, there's another interesting phenomenon I saw here. Let's call it the entitlement of non-cast members. One thing that makes me really sad about reality TV is that in order to get high ratings, the cast are either allowed to or encouraged to behave worse and worse. And like lab rats, we viewers are conditioned. Bad behavior equals more airtime. So, when civilians show up on reality TV, they tend to act out in horrible ways the cast members haven't even thought of yet. On my last season of Housewives, you always had one or two women drunkenly slur their way into cast conversations, trying to make a stand, trying to start a fight, trying to get attention, trying to get themselves cast. I saw this on Dance Moms in Atlanta. In the real world, when your child auditions for something and fails, you do not scream at the judges, demand another chance, and make a spectacle of yourself. Well, you shouldn't, anyway. But when there are TV cameras around to capture it, you do. It turned into Jerry Springer. I hope those Atlanta moms realize they made their daughters look worse, not better. Next, I take a look at the new season of Teen Mom 2 on MTV. I wanted to cry or throw something. First of all, it's really hard to watch someone calmly discuss a custody battle with their ex-husband when that person is still wearing braces. Kaylin may have shown restraint in her court battle, but the fact that she's even having one is disturbing. And don't get me started on Janelle. Yes, Janelle, a felony heroin charge does carry significant jail time. I think that Mama Barbara better keep your son. So I ask you this, viewers. If you have a teen daughter, do you let her watch this show? Does it prevent pregnancy or glamorize it? On one positive note, out of all 3 shows I watched this week, Teen Mom seems the least reality star-ish, which I guess is saying something. Finally, it's another Real Housewives divorce. In the comments on the article last week, Dame Ange asked me why I've been silent about Ramona and Mario Singer. Well, Ange, I wasn't completely silent. Last week on HLN News Now, Vinnie Politan asked me about it, and I answer him that we, the press included, should back off and let this situation play out. Other ex-RHONY have said, I told you so, they've gloated, they've called reporters, they've tweeted, and I think all of that stinks. Personally, I'm really, really sad. I like them both. They've raised a great daughter, they have huge hearts. I hate it that this is happening. I just hope for their sakes that they can weather the storm and come to a resolution that works for both of them. Well, one thing is certain. I wonder how the new season of The Real Housewives of New York City will look. It's been off the air for 18 months, longer than any other franchise. And after filming of this season wrapped, 2 breakups have happened. First, Luann left Jacques, and she was demoted to a friend of the Housewives. And now this news of Ramona and Mario. If none of that was captured on film, this show will be out of date before it even airs. Well, let me know what you thought in the comments. So far, I am watching Teen Moms, Dance Moms, Couples Therapy, Mob Wives. Which should I keep watching and which should I toss? And what do you think about everything going on in Housewives land? For now, I am Alex McCord. You are watching The Real Deal on TheStir.com. See you next week.